Hello, people of the world. It's me. I'm back. It has been a very long time, and I'm sorry. I've been on holiday. I've had school. Turns out I had pre-recorded some of these chapters which I'm about to read now for you guys. Turns out they're gone, so I'm reading them again for you. So I've read this before. You guys haven't. You probably have by your own, but you haven't read them to you. So let's get into this. It's of course Roald Dahl, George's Marvelous Medicine, illustrated by Quentin Blake, of course. Let's get into chapter 7. So I'm trying to find it. Chapter 7. Grandma Gets the Medicine. Grandma sat hunched in her chair by the window. The wicked little eyes followed George closely as he crossed the room towards her. "You're late," she snapped. "I don't think I am, Grandma." "Don't interrupt me in the middle of a sentence," she shouted. "But you finished your sentence, Grandma." "There you go again," she cried. "Always interrupting and arguing. You really are a tiresome little boy, aren't you?" "What's the time?" "It's exactly 11 o'clock, Grandma." "You're lying as usual. Stop talking so much and give me my medicine." "Shake the bottle first, then pour it into a spoon, and make sure it's a whole spoonful." "Are you going to gulp it all down in one go?" George asked her. "Or will you sip it?" "What I do is none of your business," the old woman said. "Fill the spoon." As George removed the cork and began very slowly to pour the thick brown stuff into the spoon, he couldn't help thinking back upon all the many marvelous things he had put into that had gone into the making of this wild stuff. The shaving soap, the hair remover, the dandruff cure, the automatic washing machine powder, the flea powder for dogs, the shoe polish, the black pepper, the horseradish sauce, and all the rest of them. Not to mention the powerful animal pills and powders, and liquids, and the brown paint. "Open your mouth wide, Grandma," he said. "I'll pop it in." "Here we go." The old lady opened her small, wrinkled mouth. "Here we go," George cried out. "Swallow it down." He pushed a spoon into her mouth and tipped the mixture down her throat. Then stepped back to watch the results. Grandma yelled. It was worth watching. Grandma yelled, "Owie!" Her whole body shot up, whoosh, into the air. It was as though someone had switched the chair with the fighter jet seat and pressed the eject button. Up she went like a jack-in-the-box, and she didn't come down. She stayed there, suspended in mid-air, about 2 feet up, still in a sitting position, but rigid now, the eyes bulging, the hair standing straight up on end. "Is something wrong, Grandma?" George asked her politely. "Are you all right?" Suspended up there in space, the old girl was beyond speaking. The shock that George's marvelous mixture had given her must have been tremendous. Here's the picture of the grandma. Sorry, the lighting is bad. There she is. You'd have thought she swallowed a red-hot poker the way she took her from that chair. Then she came down again with a plop, back on her seat. "Call the fire brigade," she said suddenly. "My stomach's on fire." "It's just medicine, Grandma," George said. "It's good, strong stuff." "Fire!" the old woman yelled. "Fire in the basement! Get a bucket! Man the hoses! Do something quick!" "Cool it, Grandma," George said. But he got a bit of a shock when he saw the smoke coming out of her mouth and out of her nostrils. Clouds of black smoke were coming out of her nose and blowing around the room. "By golly, you really are on fire," George said. "Of course I'm on fire," she yelled. "I'll be burned to a crisp. I'll be fried to a frizzle. I'll be boiled like a beetroot. Sorry. My eyes are so... George ran into the kitchen and came back with a jug of water. "Open your mouth, Grandma," he cried. He could hardly see her for the smoke, but he managed to pour half a jugful down her throat. A sizzling sound, the kind you get if you hold a hot frying pan under a cold tap, came up from the deep down in Grandma's stomach. She sheed and snorted. She gasped and gurgled. Spouts of water came shooting out of her, and then all the smoke cleared away. "The fire's out," George announced proudly. "You'll be all right now, Grandma." "All right," she yelled. "Who's all right? There's Jackie jumpers in my tummy. There's squigglers in my belly. There's bangers in my bottom." She began bouncing up and down in the chair. Quite obviously, she was not very comfortable. You'll find it's doing you a lot of good, that medicine, Grandma," George said. "Good," she screamed. "Doing me good? It's horrible." Then she began to bulge. She was swelling. She was puffing up all over. Someone was pumping her up. That's how it looked. Was she going to explode? Her face was turning from purple to green. But wait! She had a puncture somewhere. George could hear the hiss of escaping air. Sorry. Here's a picture of Grandma blowing up. She was slowly getting thinner again, shrinking back, and back slowly to her shrivelly old self. "How's things, Grandma?" George said. No answer. Then a funny thing happened. Grandma's body suddenly gave a sharp twist and a sudden sharp jerk. She flipped herself clear out of the chair and landed neatly on 2 feet on the carpet. There's Grandma doing it. There she is. There you go. "That's terrific, Grandma," George cried. "Look at you. You're full of beans." Grandma didn't even hear him. She was miles away in another world. What marvelous medicine. What next? George wondered. He soon found out. Suddenly she began to grow. It was quite slow at first, but just a very gradual inching upwards. Up, 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 inch by inch, getting taller and taller. About an inch every few seconds. And in the beginning, George did not notice it. But when she had passed the 5'6" mark and was going on up towards being 6 feet tall, George gave a jump and shouted, "Hey, Grandma, you're growing! You're growing up!" "Hello, Grandma, you better stop now, or you'll be hitting the ceiling." But Grandma didn't stop. It was a truly fantastic sight, this ancient scrawly old woman getting taller and taller. Longer and longer, thinner and thinner, as though she was a piece of elastic being pulled upwards by invisible hands. When the top of her head actually touched the ceiling, George thought she was bound to stop, but she didn't. There was a sort of scrunching noise. A bit of plaster and cement came raining down. "Hadn't you better stop now, Grandma?" George said. "Daddy's just had this whole room repainted." But there was no stopping her now. Soon her head and shoulders had completely disappeared through the ceiling, and she was still going. George dashed upstairs into his own bedroom, and there she was coming up to the floor like a mushroom. "Whoopee!" she shouted, finding her voice at last. "Hallelujah! Here I come!" "Steady on, Grandma," George said, with a hey nonny no, and up we go, she shouted. "Just watch me grow." "This is my room," George said. "Look at the mess you're making." "Terrific medicine," she cried. "Give me some more." "She says Dot, here's a donut, George thought. Come on, boy. Give me some more, she yelled. Dish it out. I'm slowing down. Yes, Grandma going through the ceiling, guys. And then I missed a picture, so I'm going to go back to that. There she is going through George's room. There we go. Perfect. George was still clutching the medicine bottle in one hand and the spoon in the other. Oh well, he thought, why not? He poured out a second dose and popped it into her mouth. Owie, she screamed, and up she went again. Her feet were still on the floor downstairs in the living room, but her head was moving quickly towards the ceiling of the bedroom. I'm on my way now, boy, she called down to George. Just watch me go. That's the attic above you, Grandma, George called out. I'd keep out of there. It's full of bugs and boggles. Crash! The old girl's head went through the ceiling as though it was butter. George stood in his own bedroom gazing at the shambles. There was another big hole in the floor and another in the ceiling, and sticking up like a post between the two was the middle part of Grandma. Her legs were in the room below her head in the attic. I'm still going, she came the old scratchy voice from above. Give me another dose, my boy, and let's go to the roof. No, Grandma, George called back. You're busting up the whole house. To heck with this house, she shouted. I want some fresh air. I haven't been outside for 20 years. That's a long time. By golly, she is going to go through the roof. George told himself. He ran downstairs. He rushed out the back of the door into the yard. It would simply be awful, he thought, if she bashed up the roof as well. His parents would be furious, and he, George, would get the blame. Poor George. He had made the medicine. He had given her too much. Please don't go to the roof, Grandma, he prayed. Please don't. And there's the picture of George. And that is it for chapter 7. Thank you very, very much for watching. I hope you've had a fantastic time listening to me read, or having a break while I was not here. So, have a fantastic day, everybody. Bye.